Very good morning to all of you. Hope you're doing well. So let us quickly revisit what in the last class we have discussed. Very good morning, Arun. Good morning, Shivani. Very good morning, Shilpa, Bhavani. All right. Let us see that. Okay, what in the last class we have discussed. Can one quickly recap this? What is that? Okay, we have discussed in the last class. I want everyone to just respond. From Vizag, who is attending? Is it Mallikarjun or Ramu? Very nice. Fine, Shilpa. So in the last class, okay, we have discussed about in Hibernate. Okay, we are discussing about your Hibernate, and in Hibernate we have discussed about the various things. Like we are talking about the querying of the Hibernate objects. If I want to query, how I can query the Hibernate objects. There's a few things what we have been discussed, like using the query interface, and we have also seen how to implement your restriction to the query, how to implement that. There are a few things also we have been discussed. Very good morning, Mahesh. And we have also seen about the different states of an object, how to implement that. The things also we have been discussed also. And we have started discussing about with your implementation, that is inheritance level, how to implement, that is table per class, table per subclass, table for concrete class, how we can maintain that relationship with your object orientation to the your database, how it has to be implemented. That's a few things we have been discussed. Then we have started discussing about even for a list of values, if you want to be implemented, how do I implement that? Okay, that's a few things also we have been discussed. So these are the few things what we have been discussed yesterday's class, and we have seen demos about how we can go for the implementation of list. If you want to go for the mapping of the collection, how to do, then if you want to implement your table per class, how we can do, that is inheritance mapping, how we need to do. And also we have seen how to implement even in case of your the query interface and the restriction. If you want to implement, how do I implement that, we have to see. So these are the few things what we have been discussed, and we are discussing also about we have discussed just like the different states of an object in your Hibernate implementation. How do I do that? That's a few things what we have been discussed also. Now today we are going to see how we can implement the other things also. We are going to discuss about just like persisting the objects and all, how to implement. That are the few things what we are going to discuss. Let us see that how to implement this. Any questions so far in the last class? If you have, you can ask. Else we can start with our today's session. I want everyone to respond.
Arun, morning, sir.
Are you not able to attend yesterday's class? Yeah, I think second portion.
Yes, sir, second portion I was absent. Due to batches over, I have to go for the boot camp, that's why. I have recorded that session. Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. Then good. Okay, you please go through, yes, and I'll send anyway.
That's why I recorded that session.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Fine. Boot camp, which one?
Sir, yeah, Neemrana from the 11th. Neemrana. compulsory.
Oh, sorry.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir. It's a compulsory training class I've joined recently. I've joined in May, and I didn't
Okay.
attend any training. That's why.
Yes.
So I
No.
have to. There's so
That will. No, that is
yes,
the
sir.
best part in NIT. That is the best part actually. We should go.
Yes, sir.
We learn lot of things there actually. Okay. That's the best part. Okay, it will give a added advantage, added confidence, everything to you. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So let's see in the next. Okay, we are going to discuss about the few other things. Okay, today we are going to discuss about the implementation. Okay, with persisting the objects and how we can do, how we can update the values in the let's say the object. If I want to update, how I can update, delete a particular object. Okay, so such kind of things. If you want to implement, how do I implement that? Okay, that we are going to discuss also. So yesterday, if you seen that, okay, that is a life cycle when we are discussing about the. If you see, okay, if you remember, okay, we have discussed about something like criteria-based queries and all we have seen, and object life cycle. That are the three different type of your state which will be there: transient state, okay, then persistent state, and the detached state which will be there also. And in the case of your transient state, if you remember the image which we have said that, okay, when you are creating the first time the object, when you are creating, that time that object will be there in the transient state. And when you click on, when you are executing on, okay, save or update method on that particular object, that is session 1 dot or session dot save or session dot save or update, when you call, then okay, it goes to the persistent state. And from the persistent state, when you say session 1 dot evict or a close method or a clear method, then it will go to the detached state. From the detached state object, again it will call back the update or save or update method. Again it will be come back to the persistent state. And from the persistent state, if you want to delete, then you can delete also. These are the few things, are the states which we have been discussed yesterday about as part of your discussion about your different state of an object, how it will be there in hibernate. That's the few things what we have been discussed. Now the next thing which we are going to discuss, okay, that is nothing but, okay, we are going to see how we can do the different type of your operations on these hibernated objects. Okay, that is persisting the objects, retrieving the objects, updating the objects, and deleting the objects. So these are the operations which we are going to do with your persistent objects. How to implement that we are going to discuss also. Fine. So now let us will go for that. Okay, so persist objects how to do, retrieving objects how to do, updating the objects, and deleting the objects. How all these things how to implement in our program. That's a few things what we are going to discuss also. Persisting object, it is nothing but, as we are already doing this. This is not a new thing for us. Okay, already we are storing the objects as a row to the table. That is called your persisting object. So we are implementing either persist method we are implementing or save method we are implementing for storing that particular objects into the into your table, database table. If you are doing that, is called your persisting the objects. Retrieving the objects we can do, that is nothing but your get or the load method which you are implementing, by which we can retrieve the objects, or and we can do the various operations on that. Okay, by updating or something or deleting also we can do. This is we can do through the retrieving a particular object. Okay, with an ID we can the object ID, through that we can return that particular object also. Once we'll retrieve the objects, then we can update or delete on that particular object. Then okay, this is a simple implementation which we are going to do. So I think persisting objects we need not to talk about, but retrieving objects we will talk about. Retrieving objects, in this case, okay, we are using the methods, that is nothing but your load or the get method, by which we are going to retrieve a particular object. This is retrieving a particular object. Do not think that, okay, querying an object. Okay, do not think retrieving means here it is querying an object. That is generally query if you want to do, then we can use a query interface object query interface methods we can use, and we can retrieve the data which will return as a collection, and we can display the data with an iterator and all. But however, okay, if this is the case, okay, we are implementing, okay, we retrieve this object so that, okay, on this object we can update or we can do the deleting so that, okay, it will be updated or it will be deleted from the database. That is the part which we can talk about load or get method. And both of these methods will accept the parameters. What is the parameter it will take? Okay, this load method or the get method. The parameter accepts the class name of the object, okay, being accessed. And the second parameter will accept, that is nothing but your serializable reference. That is the object reference which you can get. Okay, the persisting object reference which we can get also. That is the, okay, parameters which we need to be passed in the load or the get method. Load method is used to retrieve a persistent object. Get method are also used to retrieve a persistent object from the database. But in the case of your load method, if it is not found, if the load method, whatever the object state is there, if it is not found in the database, it will return an exception. Load method returns an exception. Get method, if it is not found anything, then it will return a null value. So this is the difference between a load method and a get method. Please remember that. Load method you are using for retrieving an object, even you are using the get method to retrieving an object. The difference is what? Load method will return an exception if it is not found that object in the database. But get method, what it will return? It will return a null value if you are not returning, or if you are not, okay, getting that value in the database. That is the differentiation what you can find. Is it clear now? Any questions? I want everyone to respond. Okay then. So next we need to go for the next, that is here you could see, I'll take a simple example and we'll see that, okay, how exactly we are going to update by retrieving a particular object that you can see within a simple example of the snippet of a code. Let us see that. You could see that, okay, then we'll see also our own example also, we'll see how we can do. Okay, so here you can see this is where we are. If you see that, okay, this is an session.save method which will return an serializable object ID. If you are not returning also doesn't matter, but okay, if you want to get that particular value, then we can use, okay, the session.save method, and using the save method will return a serializable object ID. And when you commit, and if you commit, then obviously that object value which will be saved into the database. Then you can see that, okay, there is a method I have written over here. This is VOC. Employee update session.load employee dot, okay, class, as you know that, okay, class name you need to pass, as well as object ID, the serializable object ID which is returned from the save that we are returning. Now here in this case what we are trying to do is, okay, we are, okay, trying to update that particular value. Actually previously this value has been updated with this, you can see that, okay, this value has been updated with the Silver Street with California. The address was set with this value. But however, now you want, okay, that should be updated to the Hudson Street, California. So such kind of things, if you want to be implemented, then we can go for the load method and we can update that particular values also. This is the general way how we can update the values in our program. Okay, so this is a sample example which I have provided to you, by which, okay, we can set the value also, how we can get. So this is by which we can update a particular object and we can get it. So that are the few things. One is that, okay, how we can update, that we have shown you. Similarly, if you want to do, okay, the deleting, if you want to delete also, same thing which we can implement. Okay, here we have done, that is nothing but your set address. Then if you want to update, you can update that value. So I want to update, that is also can be possible from Jayanagar. Okay, if you want to do any other object to be updated also can be possible. This is we have shown just now that, okay, if the object, if you want to return the serial object, we can return that. Then we can call the update method on that particular, okay, session, and we can, okay, update the value also. Let me go for that. Okay, we'll see this. So session 1, okay, dot update, then employee object, okay, you can update. You can see this, okay, session dot update, emp update. By this, okay, it will be updated. Now the previously whatever the address was there, now it is being changed. This is how we can do also. So this is a few method which you need to be implemented over here. Next, okay, this is for your update. Similarly, if you want to go for delete or removing a particular object from a say a database, if you want to do that, deleting a particular object, so then we need to call the delete method, or the remove method also we can use for deleting a particular object from your database also. How will you do that? Okay, let us see this. That's a simple operation also we can implement. Yes. I did not get you. Yes, we have to use the commit, okay, because transaction, otherwise it will not be committed. Yes, from Pallavi, can you please type your question? I think your question went. Any questions from Pallavi? So we can delete the object. So to delete a particular object, how you need to use? So this is the code which you need to use. You have to use the employee date, employee session dot load, employee dot class, then object ID we need to pass, then session dot delete, then transaction dot commit we need to be specified. Yes, it is okay. Happen to the permanent only. Okay, because you are implementing the transaction dot commit. When you do, automatically it will, okay, do the changes in the database only. If you are deleting, the row will be deleted also. These are the few points what we need to be remembered, okay, as a part of your implementation program when you are doing. Okay, these are the few things what we can talk about. Now we'll see a small example of how we could do this all operations, okay, in our program that we are going to discuss now. Give me a minute. I'll just show you how we could do this, okay, the implementations. Yeah, this is the class file which you want to pass. Yes. Let me take, okay, this is a sample example which we'll do, that is for updating and deleting the object. If you want to do, how do I do that? Okay, that we are going to discuss now. So I'll create a project. This is my chapter 4. I'm using the Hibernate framework. Okay, so Hibernate 4.3.1, and I'm using Java Derby database, so JDBC Derby, and I'm using the APT and finish. Alright, so this is an one project which has been created called a chapter 4 Hibernate, and you could see that okay, there is a web page or as usual index.jsp page which will be created for you. Now what do we want? Okay, we want the database, that is nothing but your product. There is a table which is there, right? Let me connect that. You could see that okay, there is a table called as product table which will be there. You can see that okay, there is a table called as product table which is there, that is PID, product name, price is the product. Okay, these are the things are there. Now what I want to do is, okay, on these particular products, if I want to update any of this value, you can update, or maybe if you want to update any of the, or if you want to delete a particular product, you should be able to delete. So this is what we want to do. No, just if you want my video to be removed, I can remove. Nothing is there. See here, okay, so the project we have created, that is chapter 4, okay, Hibernate. And I have not created anything. As you know that okay, there is a library, automatically it will be added, that is Hibernate. Index.jsp page which has been created, and I just want to show that okay, in the services I am going to use the products table I want to use, and in the products table we have product ID, product name, and the price which will be there. So what I want to do is here, okay, I want to create a bean. Okay, the bean which I want to create, and this particular bean, the persistent object which you are creating, okay, the persistent class, and using that particular class, okay, we are going to save or we are going to update or delete a particular object. So let me start with that. Okay, we will create a Java class called as product, and which is there in the package called as com package. Then finish. And here what we want to do is, okay, we are going to implement the product ID, product name, and the price. Okay, so this is, so I am going to create, I just want to copy paste that. Okay, so product name, price, and product ID. So let me copy it out. Okay, so that okay, we can completely do. So I don't think that okay, there is any doubts in this. Okay, product ID, price, product name, get product ID, get product, set product ID, get product name, set product name, get price, set price. These are the values are there. Okay, so these are the values which are there. Set price, get price, set product name, get product name, get product ID, set product ID are the, this is a Pojo class which we have created now. Now it is ready. The Pojo class is ready. Now we want to use this Pojo class for implementing. Now what I need to do is, I want to create the Hibernate mapping file for this particular product class, because whose object it is going to be updated, or whose object it is going to be, implement also, for updating and all. So for that, I need to create a mapping file. So I'll go for new Hibernate mapping wizard, which I will use. So let me go for that, and the name of this file will be product.hdm.xml file, which is there. We can implement that. And here what I will do is, I'll just use the my product class. This is my product class. Database table which you want to use, that is nothing but your products class, which your products. This is a data table which you want to use. So let me create a Hibernate mapping file, which is this. Product. You can see that that file, the name of the Pojo class is product, and the table name is nothing but your products. Now here what I need to do is, we want to implement the code, where we are going to write this particular code over here. So how do I write that code? Let us see this. ID name, product ID, column name, product ID, generator class is assigned. Property name, you can see product name, column is equal to product name, property name is equal to price, column is equal to price. So this is the few things what we can contain over here. Class name, com.product, table is equal to products. ID name, product ID, column is equal to PID, generator class is equal to assigned. Property name, product name, column is equal to PName. Property name, price, column is equal to price. So this is the way how you can be implemented on this. So this is the way how you could implement a simple product file. If you want to be implemented, you could implement that. This is a sample code which I want to take. Fine. Now it is ready. Now we are ready for creation of this particular your mapping file. Also it is ready. Now what I need to do is, we need to create a sample file where if I move to that particular page, then if I want to update a particular page or anything, then it should be able to update that. That is what we are trying to do. So in my index.page, what I want to do is, maybe I will display that particular product also, and maybe what I can do is, I can take the value, and whichever the value you want to update, you can update that. So what I am doing, I will take a sample example of this. You can see that this is a sample code I am taking, a very simple code. What I am trying to do, just see, a product ID I have taken, product name I have taken. So for which product ID you want to change, so that value you have to be specified here. So product ID and product name which has been given over here. Now I want to change that value. Maybe this product name I want to change. In my update, in my update impl.jsp page, where I want to update that. So what I will do, I will create a update impl.jsp page. So this is a JSP page I want to create. So click on the JSP page. So what I will do here, update implementation.jsp page I want to create here. In this page, what I want to do, first of all, I want to get the value, that is the product ID value I will get. Once I will get the product ID value, then I can implement it. Okay, request dot get parameter. I just took that, okay, product ID. Okay, so now integer, it is ready. Now what we need to do is product name also I can take, and depending on that the product ID we can change, right? So what I will do is say product ID, product name, request dot get parameter, product name. It is okay, this is the product name. Okay, so these are the two values which are there. Product ID, okay, whose value, okay, you want to change, to which value it has to be changed, okay, that is what I have given over here. Now, okay, we'll write the code, okay, as you know that, okay, we have to write certain code like getting the configuration object, session factory object, then once we get that, okay, session object we need to get, so that is all, okay, the code we need to write. So this is the code I've already written, just I want to copy paste. So for this, okay, certain your packages which are required, we need to import that. So I'm using that also. So now it is ready. Okay, the configuration is ready. Now we need to create the transaction object. Okay, and once we are getting the transaction object, then we can update this. So this is what you see. Okay, I'm creating a transaction object here. Transaction tx is equal to new of transaction. This is okay. Once the transaction object is created, next what I need to do? Okay, this is my transaction object. Okay, so once we have created the transaction object, okay, then what I need to implement, you see, product. Okay, we need to get the product. So to get the product, you can see that product B, okay, the product I can implement product, then session dot get product dot class. You can see that, okay, please see here. Someone is asking me that to get the product ID, okay, so new of integer of product ID, you can pass that also. Okay, so as a serializable value, you can pass that particular value also. Am I clear? Generally, the serializable product ID which you are passing, that we can pass it over here like this, new of integer of product ID. You can pass like that. So now, okay, with using that particular product object, it will be created. Now this product object, now we can change the value. So p dot, okay, set product name, we can set that. Whatever the product, the name you want to set, you can set that. Now if you want to set also the price value, new price value, if you want to change, we can change it also. That doesn't matter. Alright. This is, okay, setting the value. Once you set the value, then what you need to do? You have to update, and then, okay, persistent, okay, that is transaction need to be committed. This is what we'll do. Okay, so transaction need to be committed. Next session need to be closed. And factory, okay, need to be closed also. This is the few things what we need to be implemented. These are the few things what we can take, okay, when we are implementing this. Like a simple way how you could create a sample example of that. Any questions? this. Okay, this is very simple. Okay, I have used for updating a particular value. So how we have updated also we have seen. Now I may give any particular products. Okay, then we can display that. You can see that okay, that there are number of products are there. Any one of the product we can take and we can change the product name also, and accordingly, okay, the product value also will be gets changed. Okay, so let me start with that. So what I will do is I will execute the same. Let me execute this. So you can do a CRUD operations also, which we can do. You can insert a particular product. These are all the things which we can implement. Alter command which we need to use, right? Okay, that is alter table command. Column name to change. So here you can see this is the product ID, the product name which we need to use. Okay, this is the CRUD operation which I want to be implemented over here. Product ID, product name, and all these things. So now what is the product name which is there? Let us see this. Okay, product ID which I have, like maybe I want to change this particular product. This is my say LCD TV is there. Okay, now I want to change that. Okay, curve TV. Okay, so curve TV. The Samsung curve TV I want to change. 1010, which is the product ID which is there. Those value which I want to change. So 1010 is the product ID we need to give. So I need to use here Samsung curve TV. I can give that. Then you can click on the submit. You'll see that okay, the value it will be gets changed. So the value will be gets changed. How it will be changed now you can see. The object update with the product ID is 1010. You can see that. Now let us we'll see that okay, whether this value has been changed or not. Let me check that. Date. You could see that okay, Samsung curve TV it is there. So that particular object is been okay, changed now. So you can use this type of your program. We can implement okay, and we can change, and we can see that okay, in the database also it gets affected also. We have changed there. Okay, that also been updated, affected in our database also. That kind of your implementations which we can do over here. And if you want to display that value, you can display that value. Maybe I can write a simple another JSP page where I can retrieve that data and I want to display that data. That's also can be possible again. So what I can do that. Okay, so maybe I want to write a display. The product finish. You can write okay, this is a sample example. If you do, then you can understand how exactly this Hibernate all the few things which is working. So everything it will come into this. So display product, okay, where it can display the values of that particular product, the total values. We can do that, okay, like we can create a particular table. That's a different issue. Okay, we can do that also. But basically objective is not that okay, Hibernate will do the creating only, because okay, we will go for the mainly CRUD operations. Mostly we are doing that. Okay, so that is one area. Okay, maybe sometimes okay, we require that okay, creating or altering. Okay, all these are the things okay, which is one of the few operations okay, which will be carried out. Okay, so that is also the part which we can do actually. Let me complete this okay, because this part okay, we are going to discuss now. So display product.jsp, where we are going to display the values. If we want to display also the values, we can do that. So we can write a query code and we can display that also. So here you can see that. If you want to display the products also, you want to display, you can display that also. Here I've done this. So now see. So now we can also see that, okay, that particular table also, and when you are updating, I can create this ref display product.jsp table data. You can write this even in index.jsp also. You can put that. This is just for, okay, displaying. I'm not doing anything. Okay, for just displaying, I have done that. Those, okay, if you have been added now, that is what the problem. Now here you see, let me run this particular code. If you run this code, you see product ID. Okay, if you want to see this table data, it will show the table data also. This is my table data: 1001 iPhone, then Moto G, MP3 player, Nokia, Samsung Curve TV, MP3 player, Zebronic monitor. Okay, so all these are the different type of your values which are there. Now I want to change this time 1039 MP3 player it is there. Let me change to something else. Okay, this is maybe I'll change that. Okay, Samsung MP3 player. Okay, so this is way we will be changing. So 1039 I want to change. So I can put that 1039, and let me put that Samsung. You can use, then you can say click on the submit. Then object is updated with the product ID 1039. Now click on the table data. You can see that, okay, 1039 Samsung MP3 player, 9000 it is giving. So by which, okay, you can see that, okay, changes also how it is happening. That also we can see. This is what we can do, the updating of the data. If you want to do that, we can do also. So if you want to, okay, so a total CRUD operation, one project we can create where you can insert the data, we can update the data. We want to I want to change some other things. Even price value also, if you want to change, we can change. That is also can be possible. In my index.jsp page, okay, you can also use one more price value. If you want to change, that is also can be the part. So product name as well as the price also you want to change for a particular product. That is also can be possible. Clear? Any questions as part of your update is concerned? Any doubts are there? I want everyone to respond. Any questions? Waiting for your response. Okay then. So this is about your what we have discussed about your updating the part. Okay, that we have been discussed. Now the next one, it is nothing but, okay, we are going to discuss about your deleting also. How we can delete that data, that we are going to discuss now. How we can delete, how I can implement the deleting, that we'll see now. So I can write the code for deleting a particular data. For deleting, you can use the delete dem IMPL, a small implementation code which we can do. Delete demo.jsp page, where I can take a product ID, and depending on the product ID I will to delete that. So let's go with that. So I'll create a JSP page called as delete demo. From the index.jsp, I'll take the total data. The delete demo, I can keep it. Instead of update IMPL, okay, delete IMPL will use. Product name, it is not required. Okay, so this is we have created a sample page. Now I'll say delete demo, delete IMPL. Delete IMPL.jsp page. Okay, now what I want to do is, here you can see, in delete IMPL.jsp is the page where I want to write that particular code. What I need to write, okay, I need to create again the same thing, configuration, okay, session, I need to create a product object, okay, and I need to pass the product ID value. Then I need to call the delete method. Then accordingly, okay, the message, it has to be displayed that, okay, the product is being deleted. And I need to have this few packages which I need to import. Put me that. So product ID, then product object, okay, which is section1.get product.class new of integer product ID. This is what we can be implemented all this. And the product value will be deleted for that. Now again, let me put into this way. So I want to display after this. In index.jsp, I may move from this to delete .jsp page. This is what I want to implement. A particular product I want to delete. Here you see. So I want to implement now, okay, for deleting and updating, both I am implementing now. You could say that, okay, you can go for, this is for updating. So table data you want to display, you can display the table data. I have two things, delete product or update product. Just now we have seen, okay, how to update a particular product. We have also discussed that. Now we want to delete a particular product. Okay, if we want to delete a particular product, how I can delete? Click on the delete product. Here it is asking me, you could see that, okay, there is a product ID and, okay, submit button. you can give any particular product ID. Just now which we have seen, what are that? Okay, like we have 110 MP3 player 1009. This is the product I want to delete. That is Nokia 63076. I think okay, this is not proper. I want to delete this particular product. Okay, so 1009. Now I can delete that 1009. I can delete that particular product. Submit that. You'll see the product object is deleted with the product ID 1009. Now go to the table data to see whether the data has been deleted or not. You can see that okay, 1009 product is not been there. It has been deleted. Such kind of things, okay, which I can also implement in my program. Okay, so all these type of your CRUD operation which we can do. So already we have seen saving the object. Now this is what you are updating the object and deleting the object also, which we have discussed. I think now you can do easily how we can implement all these are the different type of your transactions implementation if I want to do. Okay, this all inserting, updating, deleting, displaying. Okay, all these are the things which we can be doing, can do with your Hibernate also. So try out all these particular operations in Hibernate. All right. Very simple demo it is there. Okay, I'll be uploading to you. Yesterday I was not able to update. Okay, so today I will do both the today's and yesterday's whatever the demos we have done. Okay, that also I'm going to upload. Okay, so please see to this and try to do the most of it. So that okay, one operation if you'll do, then most of your Hibernate operations can be completed for you. Any questions? If you want to ask, you can. I want everyone to respond. Everyone, please respond. Fine. So this is the few things which we have been discussed so far about as part of your Hibernate, how to implement that we have seen. That is what we have done with the 4th chapter also we have finished, okay, as part of your Hibernate. Let us see that okay, this is all we have finished. Okay, chapter 4 of your Hibernate. So this is persisting the objects what we have finished today. Now the last chapter which is there, that is nothing but your implementing the transaction and concurrency is the chapter which is there that we are going to discuss now. How to implement and transactions in my concurrency. These things what we are going to discuss now. Let me start with that. It's okay. So is it clear now till now? Are any questions? So we can start with your implement. So we can go ahead. So we can go ahead with the transaction part. Okay, so we'll see that okay, how we can implement the transaction part in our program, in your Hibernate, how to implement that we'll see. Okay, discuss about that points. To this. So implementing the transaction. So transaction already we are implementing in our Hibernate. It's not that okay, we are not implementing the transaction. We are already implementing the transactions. But however, okay, we need to see that, okay, what are the steps and we can implement, and what are the few things, okay, which are there in your as a part of our transactions that we are going to discuss also. So a transaction can be defined as a sequence of operations, and if a transaction is successful, all the data modifications are performed in the database. That is what we say it is commit or save. And if the transaction will fail, okay, if any of that error will occur, then the whole transaction has to be rolled back and undo the data changes whatever it has been done in the databases. Transactions allow the developer to combine the database operation into a logical unit and ensure that they will be performed together. That is the basic operation of the transaction. Now, when you are implementing the transaction, as we know that there are 4 properties which we need to be taken care. So what are the 4 properties in your transaction which need to be taken care? When you are doing the transaction, there are 4 properties which we need to which we are talking that transaction takes care about these 4 operations. Any idea? Very good. Very nice. A transaction is a sequence of operations performed together to act or to complete a single logical unit of work. And the 4 properties which is implemented to in your transaction, that is nothing but your Sjfhs property, what we say also, that is atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. These are the 4 features generally which we can have. You can see that atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability are the 4 features are there. Now, what is atomicity which we say? Atomicity says that either all the data modification has to implement or none of the data modification has to happen. That will be called as Sjfhs properties. So this is one of your main properties of your what we can talk about your transaction. So transaction says all the transaction. Maybe I have 5 transactions are there. In that 5 transactions, when you are implementing, all 5 transactions need to be stored into the database, or none of the transaction or none of your operations need to be carried out, or they need not to be saved in the database. That is what we should say that it is atomicity. That is what it says. Consistency says that states that all the data is consistent after the transaction is completed, and that means here we are saying that if the database, maybe I have 5 tables I am updating in a single transaction, 5 tables I am updating, or maybe I am deleting a particular data, maybe I am inserting in 2 tables. Now once I have done that, all the changes, the 5 transactions, whatever it is being completed, it should not deviate any kind of your rules in the database. That means the consistency of the data should be maintained. So any kind of your say key or any kind of your rules should not be affected with that particular transaction. The correctness of the data should be maintained after the consistency, after the transaction has been completed. That particular one, which will be ensured, will be said as a consistency. If this is what the transaction does, that means your data is consistent. So Sjfhs property, it is taking care. That is what your transaction we can talk about. So if employee data is there, salary data is there, after inserting the data, then both the tables should not have any deviation. Proper data should be there. So that is what you can say about your consistency. Now when I am saying that isolation, this is the 3rd property of your Sjfhs property, which says that states any modification made by the concurrent transaction isolated from the modification by any other. That means one transaction which should not be dependent on any other transaction. Each transaction will be isolated, it will be executed alone, and it will not dependent, or it will not modify any of the value of another transaction and all. So that will be called as an isolation, because transaction anyway, it has to happen multiple operations which will be carried out concurrently. However, each of the operations should be executed isolatedly, should not affect any other values of that particular operations also. That will be called as isolation. Then After the modified access, okay, the transaction, once it is been completed, there should not be, okay, any kind of your state or any kind of erroneous value should not be there. The last kind of your property, which is called your durability, which says that, okay, after the transactions, the value should be, okay, permanent, and the values should not have any kind of your erroneous value should not be there. That is what we say, states any changes in the data by the complete transaction remains permanent. Okay, it should be remain permanent in the system. So any kind of erroneous value should not occur, and it should be permanently, it has to be stored. So that will be called your durability. These are the 4 different properties what a transaction which will be implemented in our Hibernate. All right, any questions? These are the 4 properties, okay, which you need to remember as a part of your, okay, Hibernate transaction is all about, because most of the time, okay, this is very, very important as part of your transaction, any of this, any databases when you are learning also. Okay, now let us will see, okay, the transaction. A transaction, okay, in a Hibernate, what are the few things which are there? Let us will see. See, there are some theory, okay, we need to go through this transaction. So let us will see that. The states of a transaction. A transaction passes through various states of before being successfully committed or aborted. There are different states of a transaction. Are active state. We have partially committed. We have failed. We can have aborted, we can have committed, we have terminated. These are all the different type of your states of a transactions which will be there in a Hibernate implementation. Now what are that? Okay, active represent the initial state of the transactions. Okay, when the transaction is created and ready for execution, that time this active type of your state which will be there. Correct only. You are correct. Okay, that Pallavi, yes. Okay, they have to be isolated. Should not be, okay, independently. They have to be executed. So now the different states of a transactions are active, partially committed, failed, aborted, committed, or terminated. These are the 6 different type of your states generally which you can find in the transactions. So however, what are that? Okay, let us still see that also. Active type of your transaction, what is that? Partially committed is what? Failed is what? Aborted is what? Committed is what? And terminated is what? Let us still see. Active is, it will represent the initial state of the transaction. It will be called as an active type of your transaction. Okay, that is a state. Partially committed represent the state of a transaction in which, okay, the operations are executed. However, the transactions are not yet committed. That will be called as a partially committed. Failed transaction says that, okay, transaction which one of or more operations are being failed, so hence, okay, the transaction cannot be proceed further. Hence, okay, it will be called as a failed type of your transactions also. Aborted transaction, which says that represents the state of the transactions, okay, where the transaction is failed and the operations of the transactions are rolled back. Okay. In the case of your failed transaction, it has been failed, but okay, we are not proceeding further, but we have not said that, okay, we have rolled back. That means the total whatever the operation which are been till now carried, okay, is not been aborted. That means not been rolled back. Aborted means it is rolled back. And committed means, okay, the state of the transaction in which the operations are successfully executed and the data is permanently saved into the database, that will be called as a committed state of the transaction. Terminated is that state of the transaction that is nothing but in which execution is finished, okay, due to either transaction is failure or, okay, transaction is successful. Any of the case, okay, if it is being completed, okay, so that will be called as a terminated state of the transaction. So these are all the different kind of your states which will be the part of the transaction. Please remember this type of your state. Why? Okay, this is one of the questions which we are going to write in your SSC. Okay, so please remember that. So this is the kind of things which will be asked in your examinations also. Partially committed means, okay, if one of your, okay, transaction, it is operation is executed, but it is not committed. Operations are executed, but it is not committed fully. Because when you say committed, then only the transaction will be permanently saved into the database, but it is not done. So that is called your partially committed. Now it is not there. Whenever respective TD will tell you. Okay, so because they will, I think now it is GL Tech, right? Okay, GL Tech will tell you that, okay, when your FSCT will be. So you can ask in Core Mangla Anil, okay, he will tell you. So you should be prepared for the FSCTs also. But when you are going for the FSCT, I request all of you that, okay, please go through all these particular demos. Once the demos, if you'll execute, then we can be confident on, okay, this FSCT. Okay, and moreover, okay, where it will make a problem is nothing but, okay, the XML part, because Hibernate mapping wizard and Hibernate configuration file, okay, all that are the few things what you need to know. The snippet of code which is we are doing like configuration session, transaction creating, that session of, okay, that snippet of code which you need to remember. Okay, so FSCT is when you are writing, these are the few things which will be, okay, you have to take as an important. So you need to be put it into your mind. The like table per class, table per subclass, table per concrete class, list mapping. For this, mapping files are different. So this mapping files, okay, because table per concrete class you will have union class, but whereas in the case of a table per subclass, where it will come as a subclass, but table per subclass, it will be of a joint subclass. Table per, okay, class, it will be of your, okay, say only subclass. That changes which you are doing in the mapping wizard. So this syntax need to be remembered, okay, because most of the question will come from that. List mapping, when you are doing set, bag and your, okay, list, three things are there, and there are some set of properties where there index, key, column values, that we need to remember. So these are all the mapping wizard, okay, questions will be more from your Hibernate. Yeah, kind of, yes, save point is a kind of a partially committed, you can say that. Aborted is, okay, aborted is nothing but, okay, the transaction is failed, purely transaction is been failed and it has gone. Terminated is not saying that, okay, it is failed, it is finished. Whether the transaction is been successfully finished, whether the transaction is failurely finished, okay, that we do not know. Terminated means transaction is been finished. We don't know that, okay, successfully or failure. But aborted means failure, transaction has been failed. Now, Hibernate, okay, when you are implementing the Hibernate, okay, so framework, the transaction interface which has been provided, that is org.hibernate.transaction interface, to implement the transaction in an application. The Hibernate architect is built upon the existing Java APIs such as JDBC and JPA. And we know that, okay, right, okay, when we have discussed also Hibernate architecture also, we know that Hibernate, the 6 different objects like configuration, session factory, session, then we have transaction, criteria, query and criteria. These all the different type of your, okay, the objects which are based upon the 3 different objects again, JPA, JDBC and your JNJ. On these, okay, they are 6 on that. So that's why we can think about this. Okay, so Hibernate architecture is built upon the existing Java API such as JDBC and JPA also. Now, transaction interface, okay, uses these API as its base implement transaction in a Hibernate application also. By default, Hibernate uses JDBC API to implement the transaction. Please look into that. So we'll use the JDBC API. JDBC API for implementing the transaction in the sense, auto commit false you have to do, then we have to implement the transactions also. Okay, so how we have to do that, okay, particular transaction implementation in our JDBC, okay, so how the configuration it has to be there, that we are going to see also. Let us will see that. So the Hibernate configuration file, okay, allows the setting for the transaction API with the help of this. Okay, hibernate dot transaction dot factory class property. Okay, in the session factory element we need to be specified here. You could see that, okay, this is the property which we need to be set here. Property name is equal to hibernate dot transaction dot factory underscore class org dot hibernate dot transaction dot jdbc transaction factory. Okay, we need to be specified here, by which, okay, this particular property which we need to be set by saying, okay, this is, we are implementing the jdbc transaction factory which we are specifying here. This is a configuration which we need to be done, okay, when you are implementing the transaction in your hibernate. So this is the example. Okay, this is an again thing which you need to be remembered. Okay, so how we can configure the transaction, the JDBC transaction factory in our hibernate configuration file, that we will ask you. So there is other things which is also there, that is nothing but your JTA. Okay, JTA transaction factory also if you want to implement. Only thing is that, okay, instead of transaction.jdbc transaction factory, instead of that, okay, you need to remove, then you need to specify that, okay, that is your JTA transaction factory. That only we need to implement. Okay, so there are two different ways which we need to be implement. Either we need to go for JTA transaction factory or JDBC transaction factory, which we need to use for implementing the transaction in our program also. All right, any questions here? Any questions? Okay, any doubts? Now see, in the case of your transaction interface provides various methods to work with your transaction in your Hibernate application. What are that? Okay, the different methods which you need to be implemented in the transaction. Let us will see that. We have begin method, we have commit method, we have rollback method, we have was committed method, was rolled back method. These are the different type of your methods, okay, generally which we can implement. It is not that, okay, we are not implemented. Already we are implementing these methods in our transactions, so you can see that, okay, these methods already we have done. Begin we have done, commit we have done. If we want, okay, to be rolled back, okay, we can do the rolled back also. But however, we have not done. But we can implement also the rollback. Also, if we want to implement, we can do that. This is about your, okay, sample transaction implementation which we can do also. Then we can check also that transaction whether it has been committed or not. Okay, if you want to check was committed is the method which we can do. Was rolled back is the method also we can use for which, okay, whether the transaction is being rolled back or not. If I want to check that, then we can use the transaction method, that is nothing but your rolled back method also. So these are all the few points, okay, which has been given over here. Here you see, there is a snippet of code which has been given over here. Okay, so in that, okay, I have taken, that is, okay, a product, that is a particular product order, it is been saved. Session dot save, okay, product dot order, okay, product order, it is been saved. Now we have taken lot of things, okay, we are executing a particular query, okay, then we are saving this particular product. Now, however, okay, when you are doing the product, okay, so there can be, okay, the commit method we have called, if any kind of error which has been occurred, in between that, okay, if any error will occur, if the transaction is null, that means, okay, if the transaction has not executed properly, in that case, automatically transaction dot rollback it needs to be called. So within the try block, I have kept that, okay, transaction dot commit. If the perfect transaction, if it is there is no error as such, then transaction dot commit will occur. Otherwise, transaction dot rollback it will be called. So this is the kind of things which will need to be implemented. Even in our program also, when you are writing the code, okay, you can check that also. We are writing, okay, the transaction there begin, then we are writing the session1.save method and everything, we are calling that. If any kind of error which will occur, in that case, automatically, okay, it has to go to the the catch clause, and there you can run the transaction.rollback method also can be called here. This kind of things which we can also be implemented over here. Is that clear now? Any questions? I want everyone to respond. This is about your, okay, different type of your transaction, how we can implement, and what are the transaction implementation code which we can be implemented that we have seen now. Any questions in this transaction commit, transaction rollback, transaction begin, these methods where we can implement? Now I may create an application where maybe that, okay, employee information I am storing. So in employee information, I want to store the data like employee details, employee maybe the personal details, employee official details, like that, okay, I may be storing that. I'm just giving an example to you. So this is my whole employee details. This will be, maybe this will be the whole employee details. Employee details. But this is first employee detail. This is one table. Employee EMP, maybe personal details. Okay, personal details. Next employee, okay, official detail. This is the one, okay, which we want to be implemented. Okay, so these are the three tables I want to create here. Okay, one is that I want to go for okay, employee detail, employee personal detail, employee official detail, which is there. Okay, now we talk about the employee detail. Okay, now employee detail, how it can be, employee official detail, how it will be, and employee detail, how it will be. So maybe you have employee ID, employee name, it will be there. You'll have certain things like you'll have a PAN number, you'll have an email ID. Okay. So this is all about his employee details. Now his personal detail. In the personal detail, what we want is, we'll have employee ID as the main ID. Maybe his address, his home address. Temporary address also we want. Permanent address, temporary address. And maybe we want his mobile, landline, his qualification. These details are there in the personal detail. Official detail, again we have the employee ID, his address, his extension, his salary detail, designation, location, like that. We have given over here. So these are the three tables we'll see. Employee table we have. Then these are the tables which I am talking about. This is my, I can say, table 1, table 2, this is my table 3. Like that. These are the three different tables which we generally have. Table 1, table 2 and table 3. These are the three tables are there. Now what I want is, in employee table we have object 1, this is object 2 and this is object 3. This is what I want to be implemented. So three objects which we need to be created. Employee object, employee personal detail object, employee official detail, the three objects which we need to create. And now what I want to go for that, session dot save I may use, or the persist I may use. Session dot save object 2, session dot save these are the three things which we need to implement. Session dot save object 1, session dot save object 2, session dot save object 3 are the three objects which I want to store. So obviously there are three classes I have created here. So obviously I will create three different classes. For employee is a different class I will create. For employee personal detail a different class, employee official detail will be a different class, and I want to save the object like this. The values I will be saving like this. Now when I am saving, there can be any error it may happen. Maybe this is success, this is maybe error, then this is also success. In that case, what transaction should be rolled back, right? So any of that, transaction, maybe this is error, this may be success, this may be success. That time also transaction should be rolled back. Maybe I have success here, but however, when you are executing the third tables, inserting, this is fail. Again the same thing, transaction will be rolled back only. When transaction can be success, if all the, your transaction, if it is success, then only its transaction will be successful. This is what we want to be implemented. So this kind of things which we can be implemented over here. Very clear now? So this is what your transaction will come back. So transaction when you are implementing, this is the way. So when you are storing three different tables, because when you are storing only employee data, you will not store. No, you will store employee detail, employee official detail also will store. Three different classes we have created. Three different objects will create. Then we are saving that three different objects in three different tables which is going to be stored. Now, if anyone, maybe temporary address, we have 70 characters, but however, we have given 90 characters. So that time, obviously, there is a string or binary data would be truncated, it will come. So there will be an exception will occur. So that time, this need to be checked here. Is it clear where exactly we require the transactions? It has to be there. So when you are saving these objects, so it has to be implemented. So it has to be started Okay, it has to be end by using the transaction only. Okay, so whenever you are starting this work, saving this particular object, so it has to be start with a transaction begin, and it has to end with a transaction dot commit. And if it is not, okay, then if there any kind of error occurs, then go to the catch clause and write, okay, can the transaction roll back? Is a code which you can write by which, okay, the transaction will be rolled back. Such type of things which we can be implemented in your transactions. Is it clear now? Where exactly we require the transactions? Because if I'll not do like, let me say for this, okay, success, and we have not written transaction rollback, but however there is an error has happened. Now what will happen? His employee details will be there, his employee personal detail will be there, but official details, because if there is an error occurred, then it is not going to come. So what will happen? So there is an inconsistency occurred in our table also. So this is very, very important, that how we are going to store the data. Is it clear now? Any doubts? You want to respond quickly? Okay, so this is where we require the transaction actually. Like in a even Hibernate also, why we require the transaction? Because of this. So now we'll see the implementation next. That is nothing but your concurrency. I don't think so. Okay, we do not have any concept like that. Okay, so I think, okay, as per my knowledge, okay, 3 points are not there. This is implementing the concurrency. So we'll see that. Okay, so what is the concurrency is all about and how we are implementing the concurrency. We'll check that. So this is transaction and concurrency is the topic name. So we are finished till now the transactions, how it has to be implemented. Now we need to go for concurrency. How we are implementing the concurrency, that's we are going to discuss now. That concurrency, the database-centric application may suffer from concurrency issues. The concurrency issues occur when more than one transaction access the same set of data. Then, okay, there is a concurrency issues which might happen also. Okay, so concurrency issues. Obviously, when you are doing the transaction, so there are some certain transactions, okay, they may access the same set of data. They are trying to update, or somebody want to update, or somebody want to insert the same kind of your data. In that particular cases, okay, then the concurrency issues which are going to come. So how we can avoid that, how to implement that we are going to discuss in this. Okay, so what are the different type of your concurrency issues which are there and how they are being implemented? We'll talk about that actually. So concurrency issues. So each transaction is used in an application is treated as a separate transaction in a database. Yes, correct, because isolation says that. Okay, then a transaction is executing at a point time is not aware of the other transaction executing in the applications also. That is what your concurrency which will come. So because multiple transactions may run within the same application, okay, so without knowing each other, when multiple transactions access and manipulate the same database component, that is what a single resources, when they are trying to manipulate and all, okay, they may end up with a inconsistency of the data. So that inconsistency in data is considered as a concurrency issue. So please see to this. The concurrency issue is nothing but, okay, the getting an inconsistency data, okay, by implementing multiple transactions. That will be called as a concurrency issue. So this is we need to be avoided. Okay, so that concurrency issue need to be avoided. How we need to avoid that we are going to discuss now. So what are the different type of your concurrency errors which we are going to implement, okay, in our program that we can see? There are different type of your say concurrency errors which we generally find. That is nothing but your dirty read, lost updates, okay, non-repeatable read, and phantom read are the four different type of your concurrency errors generally which we can find in your concurrency issues also. So what is dirty read, what is lost updates, non-repeatable read, and your phantom read, okay, one that we are going to see now. Dirty read, which says that, okay, transaction reads the data that has not been committed by other transactions. This can be create a problem if a transaction that has added the data which has been rolled back. So that kind of things, if it is implementing, that is called your dirty read. So there can be issues like this, like maybe a user is trying to update his or own address. At the same time, okay, so the values have been extracted by the other transaction and it has been displayed in the report. Now, actually this transaction is not being completed on that particular row, but still you have, okay, updated the value. So that will be called as a, that will be, comes under the dirty read type of your problem. So because you have not, okay, committed this transaction, but however in the second one, okay, we have been accessed that. So that is called your dirty read problem. This is kind of happens, okay. So to avoid this particular errors, okay, we need to implement the lock system. Okay, so that is why, okay, we implement the lock. The lock will avoid the concurrency issues, so that, okay, it will check that, okay, if any kind of your transaction occurred on a particular row, then the other transaction cannot able to access that data until unless, okay, it completes its execution. So lost update, the another kind of your concurrency error which will be there. So a lost update occurs when two or more transactions, you can see to this, two or more transactions try to modify the same row, and in this case each transaction unaware of another transaction. The last update in the transaction queue overrides the update made by the previous transaction. So due to this particular loss, the previous transaction data has been lost. So this is happens. So if the two transactions are updating the value, if the two transactions are updating a particular value for a particular rows and all, now what will happen? The previous transaction, what it has been updated. The second transaction, obviously what it will do, it will overwrite the data. The first transaction doesn't know that, okay, it has been overwritten also. So that type of problems will be called as a lost updates problem. Non-repeatable problem is nothing but, okay, a transaction reads the same row more than once and a different transaction modifies in between that. So that is called your non-repeatable read problem. So that means each and every time there will be a separate kind of your data which is going to be represented for us. So that is called your non-repeatable read. Phantom read, as a transaction reads the row set more than once and a different transaction insert the delete the rows between successive reads in the first transaction. That will be also called as the phantom read, which is the part where we are talking about like how we are getting an erroneous data for each particular reading. So that will be called as a phantom read also. So this is all the different type of your concurrency errors which are being implemented in our database, okay, in our program. So to avoid this particular concurrency issue, to remove this particular concurrency issue, we need to use, okay, the levels, that is isolation level, okay, which has to be implemented in our database. That is what, okay, very, very important, which we can talk about. So what are the different type of your isolation levels are there by which, okay, we can avoid this particular transactions errors or the concurrency errors, that we need to know all about. So we need to set the isolation level. You can see that. So there are three different ways by which we can avoid the concurrency issues also, that is setting the isolation levels, implementing the versioning concept, and implementing the locks concept. Please see to this. These are the three things which you are implementing when you are implementing the concurrency issues also. Any questions till now? single row and multiple set of values. That is the difference only. Isolation levels is nothing but, okay, we are specifying the lock kind of things. Okay, if a certain isolation levels, if you are specifying, then okay, there are these repeatable read, or maybe we talk about this non-repeatable read can be avoided. So we'll say that. So that is a level which you have to set, okay, to your application level or in the database level. Even, okay, database level also by default isolation levels which will be specified. Correct only. That is only we are doing. We say no read committed, read uncommitted. Okay, that are the different type of your isolation levels which we can be specified. We'll come back to this. Okay, so now we have, okay, each time there are different type of your isolation levels which we can set now. So after we'll come back from the break, okay, we are going to discuss about what are the different type of your isolation levels are there, and each isolation level, what kind of your say your concurrency issues which can be avoided, that we are going to discuss actually. There are 4 isolation levels which are there, like read uncommitted, read committed, repeatable read, and serializable. So that each one, okay, how they can be avoided, that we are going to discuss also. Fine then. So we'll take a break, okay, a lunch break, and we'll come back, and then we'll be discussing about that. And once we'll finish up this, then we'll be moving to the next thing, that is your Spring. Okay, very, very important topics. Okay, we are going to speak today. And tomorrow, as you know that, okay, already we have 9 to 3:30. So full spring only we are going to work. So now you take a break, come back, and we'll be discussing about this concurrency issue, little bit of things which are there that we are going to discuss, and where, okay, how we can configure this concurrency issues, just we'll tell that. And then we'll be moving to the next chapter, that is your module, that is your Spring. Okay, so that is the objective of this session after the break. Okay, fine then, take a break of lunch break.